Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lillian, and today I thought I would do a little chit chat video. I recently turned 26 about 2 weeks ago, and I kind of just wanted to reflect on my early 20s and share some things that I've learned, because the early 20s, they were a lot, and I feel like you change so much during your early 20s, meaning like from the age of 20 to 25, there's a lot of change there. I feel like every year, every birthday, I would reflect back on the past year and I would just see so much change. So I just kind of want to talk about that on here, and I feel like I have a lot of younger girls that follow me, and I feel like this is great advice for those that are just entering their 20s, or you know, that are still in their early 20s. I didn't really prepare much in detail. I have a few bullet points, but I'm just gonna freestyle it for the rest of it. So I'm not sure how many points or how many things I have learned. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things that I've learned here. So I'm just gonna share them with you guys, and yeah, we'll go from there. Also, this is in no particular order, and I also feel like a lot of them are linked. Without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So number 1 is to put God first. Putting God first is so important. And for me personally, I was brought up as a Christian. I was raised as an Orthodox Christian from the household type of view, but I grew up going to the Catholic Church because there wasn't any Orthodox church in my area. And you know, when you're raised with a certain religion, it's just something that you were kind of brought up with, and not something that, you know, you researched, you looked into, and you chose for yourself. So I feel like when I turned 18, I think around that time when I started going to uni, living on my own, and basically throughout my whole early 20s, I felt like I was rediscovering my faith for the first time and really choosing to get more into my faith and to get closer to God. And you know, I'm so grateful that my parents raised me as a Christian, and I was brought up with those values and morals that we see in the Bible. And I'm so grateful for that, because that definitely set, like, it laid a foundation for me. But kind of rediscovering that, reading the Bible myself, growing closer to God as a conscious effort for myself and not, you know, my parents, it really kind of opened a new world to me, and I felt so much better having that guidance and having that direct relationship with God. And it really taught me that when you put God first, you feel so much more at peace. And I think that feeling at peace is something that not a lot of people feel in their early 20s. I definitely did not. But what I noticed is that whenever I was, you know, reading the Bible every day, focusing on God, focusing on His Word, going to church, you know, doing all those things, I felt more at peace. I felt more calm. I felt more grounded. I felt like, and I still feel like that, by the way, when I'm like spending a lot of time with God, I feel so much better, because I feel like there's nothing to fear. I have that guidance, and as long as I'm in communication with God, as long as I'm praying, as long as I'm reading the Word, I know that I will get the guidance that I need, and I know that God will provide. So I feel like putting God first is so important during your early 20s. You're not gonna miss out. Trust me, you're not missing out on anything. I feel like, if anything, it will save you from a lot of drama, a lot of heartbreak, a lot of stress that was all, you know, not needed. So the first piece of advice I would give to those in their early 20s right now is to put God first. Build a relationship with Him, grow closer with Him, pray every day, read your Word every day, and just make sure you spend time with God. And that doesn't mean that you have to be perfect, by the way. You know, as a Christian, you want to become more like Jesus, but because we're human, we're still gonna make mistakes. We're still gonna sin regardless. It's how you come back from that mistake, or how you come back from that sin. You have to ask for forgiveness and repent, and you know, try your best not to do it again, not to fall into that sin again. So don't pressure yourself too much. I think a lot of people, including me when I was young, I thought I had to be perfect before I come to God, but God says, come as you are, and He will make you clean again. He will make you whole again. So yeah, I would say just start reading the Bible, just start praying, start watching videos on YouTube, or start going to a local church, and yeah, just start. Just get started. The rest will follow. So that is number 1, is put God first. Number 2 is love yourself first. That might be one of the biggest lessons I learned in my early 20s. I feel like when I was a teenager, I was very confident. I was very confident. I was so outgoing. I was the loudest of my group of friends. Like, I was so confident. Once I hit 18, that confidence, and I do have to say, I was in quite a toxic relationship. That definitely took a toll on my confidence and my self-esteem, and you know how much you love yourself anyways. But I think when you're in the age of 18 and the early 20s, you really take a hit on your confidence, and I don't know why, but we start becoming so self-conscious. And I really think it's so important that you have to love yourself first, especially in your early 20s. If you don't love yourself, you won't be able to love others, first of all. Second of all, if you don't love yourself, you are gonna tolerate a lot more than you should. And you just don't deserve that. You have to love yourself. You have to put yourself first, because no one else will. If you don't love yourself, no one else will. If you don't respect yourself, no one else will. You can't demand people to love and respect you if you don't love and respect yourself. So please, out of all the relationships in your life, whether it's friendships, relationships, like romantic relationships, family relationships, make sure your relationship with yourself is good. Make sure you work on your mental health, your self-esteem. Make sure you love and respect yourself enough to walk away from situations that no longer serve you. And that is another thing. When you love yourself and you know the value that you have, you won't accept to be treated otherwise or treated differently. So please make sure you love yourself and you put yourself first. For me personally, I used to be a huge people pleaser. So I would always put others first. I would always love others first. And I think that got me in a lot of trouble that could have been avoided, to be fair. So definitely love yourself first. Which brings us to the third point, is to set boundaries. Make sure you're not doing things for people that wouldn't do it for you. It's really hard, because the Bible says treat others how you want to be treated. But sometimes there's a fine line between that and letting someone walk all over you. So make sure that, you know, treat others nice. Always be kind to people, but make sure to set boundaries and don't overwork yourself. Don't do too much to the point where you're getting burnt out because you're doing so much for other people but you're not taking care of yourself. So make sure to set those boundaries. Make sure that you take enough time in a week to take care of yourself, whether that's going to the gym, whether that's doing a little self-care routine, you know, whatever it is. Make sure you set boundaries and make other people respect those boundaries. And if you say no, you don't need to explain your no. No is no. So when you set that boundary, be firm in it. And I know it's really hard and it really comes with practice, and this is still something that I struggle with till this day, but it's really important to get started as soon as you can on setting boundaries and enforcing those boundaries. For me, the hardest part about enforcing those boundaries is I feel so guilty telling people no, but people don't really care that much. Like, people actually don't care, because if you say no, they'll just go to someone else, or they'll just do it themselves, or whatever it is. It's not the end of the world. It's not a life or death situation. So please say no more often, set more boundaries, and really take care of yourself. Because going back to the second point, if you don't love yourself, if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't respect yourself, you won't be able to do the same to others, and you won't be able to expect the same from others. Number 4, which is a really funny point, it kind of comes from the first 3 points that I've said, but one thing I noticed in my early 20s is that as I grow older every year, I have less and less tolerance for bullshit. I tolerate so much less than I used to a few years ago. And I really think it's because, one, like I said, you value yourself more, you love yourself more, you are more confident within yourself, and then you learn to walk away from situations that don't align with your values, that don't align with your, you know, respect for yourself. So I think that's one thing, is you have less tolerance for certain situations and for certain people. And I always say to myself, I'm looking down at my phone because I wrote down this sentence, and I said, if it doesn't positively affect me in some way, I'm gonna let it go, or I'm gonna cut them off. I no longer want to be in situations that don't affect me positively. If it doesn't serve me, it's not for me. And I really believe that if it's meant for me, it will be. If it's God's plan, He will make it not easy, because obviously you still have to work for things, But if it comes from God, it's not going to be confusing. It's not going to be draining you. It's not going to be affecting you negatively. That doesn't come from God. If it comes from God, it will encourage you. It will motivate you. It will make you stronger. And so I really, really think it's important to think about the situations that you're in, the people that you're dealing with. Are they contributing to my life positively, or are they draining the energy out of me? You know, and I think that I just have a lot less tolerance for situations and for people than I used to in my early 20s, which I think is a great thing for me personally. Like I said, I'm such a people pleaser, and I really struggle, or used to struggle, with setting boundaries, but I really feel like that tolerance has gone now, and I love that for me. I'm so much more at peace, honestly. It's gotten to the point where I said to my friend today, my life is so boring. Like, I don't have nothing to vlog because my life is so boring. Like, I literally work 9 to 5, and then I'm just mostly chilling in the evenings at home, and I go out on the weekends. Like, I'll meet my friends on the weekends, but on the weekdays, I'm not doing anything. I'm just at peace. It sounds boring, but to me, having a boring life means having a peaceful life. So as long as I have a roof above my head, I have food, I have a job, I have a, stability, that to me is amazing. Which brings us to the next point, number 5. One thing I've learned in my early 20s is that your priorities will change. And I think that in my early 20s, I was so focused on having my dream job, which in my case, I was obsessed with social media marketing. Like, I really wanted to get into social media marketing and kind of grow my career in there. But one thing that changed for me in my priorities is I was less focused on, the dream job or the dream career, and more focused on stability, and especially financial stability. Social media marketing is fun and great, but the job itself is really not rewarding. Marketing is usually the first department that gets their budgets cut. Every company, they always put marketing to the back of mind, especially social media marketing. They want you to do everything with no budget. So it's very discouraging sometimes. It's really difficult to work in social media marketing. They're expecting great results with very little input. And on top of that, it's really hard to measure your success with social media marketing, because you can create the best piece of content, but because of the algorithm or whatever it is, it just won't perform as well, right? There's so many factors and things that weigh in with social media marketing. It's really hard to measure success, and on top of that, to see the return of investment. So at the end of the day, when you are working in a company, all they care about is how much money you make them, right? So in terms of social media, it's really hard to prove they are getting a return on their investments. So anyways, I'm rambling a little bit, but that is why I kind of felt a bit drained working in social media marketing. And on top of that, the main reason is that the wages are really, really low. So I was literally living paycheck to paycheck. I could cover my bills and everything, and I could go out with my friends, but I was not able to save as much as I would like for my future. So eventually, I already told this story in one of my previous videos, but I switched into the tech world. I work in cybersecurity now, and I work in software sales. And honestly, it has lifted so much weight off my shoulders, because obviously working in sales, it's a lot more money than working in marketing. First of all, the financial stability that comes with that, it lifted this weight off my shoulders, and I felt like finally I can breathe and save for my future. Because I'm 26 now, it's time to think about the future. So that was one of the main reasons. On top of that, I also realized, like, because I was being creative and creating content in my 9 to 5 job, it made me feel so drained for my own content. And switching to software sales, it really gave me more time to breathe and some more space to kind of brainstorm and put my all into my own content again, put my creativity into my own content again. So yeah, I feel like in your early 20s, or by the time you hit the mid 20s, late 20s, you're gonna realize that a lot of your priorities change, and you're kind of coming out of that delusional bubble of like, my dream career, my dream this, and you're gonna focus more on the facts, and you're gonna think more logically, because at the end of the day, your bills have to get paid. You want that financial stability more than anything. And especially when it comes to a 9 to 5, you really want more financial stability in that 9 to 5 and more benefits, like, for example, unlimited holidays or whatever it is, right? when you have those things, the peace of mind that comes with it and the energy that it gives you to do things outside of work after your 9 to 5, it's honestly, it's the best thing. It's the best thing. It's the best decision that I've made. Your early 20s, if I can give you some advice, embrace the change, because there's going to be so much change in your early 20s, especially when it comes to, you know, your priorities changing and your mindset changing. Which brings us to the next thing, right? Frontal lobe. Your frontal lobe, you know how they say your frontal lobe develops at 25? You're really gonna feel that. Just the way you look at life and your perspective on life, it just changes completely. And it's really hard to explain, but all these things that I mentioned before, you know, less tolerance, your priorities changing, even your opinion on certain topics, they're gonna change because your frontal lobe is gonna develop, and it literally feels like that. Like suddenly I've got a different mindset. It's like I've been given a new brain, and the clarity that comes with that is just, is the best. Is the best. I feel like I'm so much better at discernment, and I feel so much wiser almost. And I'm only 26, so imagine how I'm gonna feel in 10 years from now, right? So that moment where your frontal lobe develops, you're gonna realize, everything's just gonna make sense suddenly. And don't get me wrong, like I still feel very lost in life sometimes, and like, what am I doing with my life, or like, what do I want to do in the next few 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. But on a day-to-day basis, the way you handle certain situations, the way your opinion changes on certain topics, that's that frontal lobe developing. So the last point, I'm gonna end it here. Number 7, one thing I've learned is to give yourself more grace and be patient. Be present in the moment. Enjoy your early 20s, because you feel so old. You feel like, oh my God, I'm 22 now. I'm so grown. I need to think about the future. I need to do this. I need to do that. It's such a rush, but you need to just stop and breathe and be in the present. Because when you turn 25, 26, 27, you're gonna think, wow, I don't know why I thought I was so grown at 22, 23, but I literally knew nothing. I was so young. I should have enjoyed it more in the moment. And this is me saying that as a 26-year-old, right? Imagine someone in their 30s or their 40s. They're gonna think their whole early 20s is like that. So I would really, really say, be present, enjoy the moment. Give yourself grace. You don't need to be a millionaire by 25. You don't need to buy your first house by 23. You don't need all those things that society tells you. All you need to do is survive and enjoy your early 20s. Go on those trips with your friends, see the world. Now is the time, because you don't have that many responsibilities yet, and you have more disposable income, usually anyways. So yeah, I would say give yourself some grace. Don't be too hard on yourself. Be patient with yourself. Don't pressure yourself too much, and just be present in a moment and enjoy your early 20s, because that's one thing I regret, is I didn't enjoy my early 20s enough. And if you're in any toxic situationships, girls especially, but even guys, anyone in any toxic situationships, stop wasting your time. Get out of them. Don't stress out about situations that are not even gonna matter in a few months or a few years. And yeah, that is basically what I've learned in my early 20s and what advice I would give to you girls that are in your early 20s. Thank you so much for listening to me yap away about this. I hope you guys enjoyed this little chit chat video. Let me know in the comments down below if there's any other videos that you want to see on my channel, if there's anything you want me to talk about, or you know, if it's a Q&A, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the notification bell so you stay updated whenever I upload. And last but not least, follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok at Lillian Tech Guy. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really enjoyed this little chit chat video. I feel like I'm gonna do this more often. I feel like I'm always so fixated on like doing the vlogs and doing the get ready with me's, but I love just sitting down and talking, and I feel like I'm able to build like a stronger relationship with you guys. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.